thank you, everyone. First of all, thank you for inviting me here, and I'm really feeling privileged to be here among all the senior intellectuals, practitioners, and professionals. And it's a great opportunity for me to learn and share a lot of ideas, actually. So the topic I'm supposed to talk on is, or I was asked to talk on, is BRI and its impact on sustainable blue economy. And I'd like to focus on a few issues like the blue economy and sustainability. What does it mean? And BRI and sustainable development nexus. How BRI is related to sustainable development in a very, in a way which is very which causes dilemma among everyone, and impact of BRI on sustainable blue economy, and then the efforts or the initiatives or steps which could be taken in case of making BRI more sustainable. And lastly, I will also focus on Bangladesh because I'm from there and I have to talk on Bangladesh, although it will not be a very optimistic one, but I'll try to focus on that as well. So what is blue economy? We already have heard about blue economy, the definition and other aspects, and we all know the difference between ocean economy and blue economy. When we talk about ocean economy, we just focus on the economic aspects, for example, 1 in 10 livelihoods are depending on fisheries, and also by 2030, ocean economy will double to $3 trillion US dollar. And SIDS, or the small island developing countries, they are particularly reliant on fish, and there are many people who are continuously relying on marine resources, and they are trying to develop their economies. These things are the things we talk about when we talk about ocean economy. But when we talk about blue economy, the issue of sustainability itself comes with it, right? Because when we shift from ocean economy to blue economy, we are talking about the sustainable use of those resources. It refers to everything like ecosystem resilience, economic sustainability, community engagement, policy making, sustainable policy making, and also technical capacity, institutional integration. That means it's a process where everything is engaged, and the government, countries which are interlinked through geography, and also people who are being affected in those marine areas or coastal areas. So everyone is related, and all these things actually refer to the blue economy. In recent years, with the traditional ocean use activities like fisheries, tourism, maritime transport, we see newer forces or newer activities are coming, like the offshore renewable energy, aquaculture, these things, and port facility developments, these things. So on the one hand, these have a lot of positive impacts, but on the other, these are having also a lot of negative impacts. Now, this particular idea of blue economy, we all know, has it already has the issue of, or the content of, sustainability with its name or with the idea itself, but also it was fueled by the SDG goal 14, life below water, and for that reason it is getting much priority among many stakeholders or among many countries or regions. Next, I would like to talk on the BRI and sustainable development nexus. So first, we know what is blue economy, and now since my topic is how BRI is affecting the blue economy, the sustainability of the blue economy. Now, BRI, we all know that BRI is a very fascinating idea to people, especially to developing countries. People from developing countries like us, we have very small amount of options to choose in our foreign policies, and we are always in need of money. We are always in need of infrastructure development. So whoever gives us money, we become very much interested to take that money from them. So that means BRI is a really good idea, or BRI positively affect sustainable development, because as I said, for example, according to a 2017 data, Asian Development Bank, they suggested that 26 trillion for Asian development is required for infrastructural development, for energy, for renewable energy, for power production, for transportation, these things. But we don't have the money. We have all the potentials, but we don't have the money. And BRI in that way presented a big opportunity for us, and we have been trying to grab this particular opportunity. And according to different data, I think World Bank data, there was 2 lakh employment opportunities which were created by BRI in different countries. So BRI, since it's focusing on different kinds of infrastructural developments, port facility developments, it's affecting the economy of different countries in a very positive manner. So it has a positive linkage to sustainable development. But when we are talking about these environmental issues, then we see there is this nexus where BRI is also presenting a kind of negative impact over the environment. And so this is the reason actually, I mean, most of the time when we talk about BRI, we tend to forget this particular issue of sustainability, environmental sustainability. Rather, we always tend to be excited about the developmental perspectives of BRI. Now, there was another issue I was asked to answer, that was how BRI can affect the sustainable blue economy. I think a lot of discussions since the morning have discussed these issues. Maybe you can just have a quick glance over these things. So more port facilities, more infrastructure, more industrialization, that means more pollutants, more wastage, and more ships will be going through those routes. So everything will be contributing towards a deteriorated environmental situation. So this is the way how we can think BRI can have a very negative impact over environmental sustainability. So I'll not explain it in a very detailed manner. Now, there is an idea, because we are talking about the environmental impact of BRI. So there is an idea which is called green BRI, and China has been trying to promote this idea strongly, and where they say that we have particular what can I say? We have particular strategies or ways by which we are maintaining a green BRI or making it more ecologically friendly or environmentally friendly. So first one is baseline protection by the environmental laws and regulations of the host states. That particularly refers to the host countries' laws and regulations, which can work as the first line of defense against the environmental consequences. So whenever our BRI project goes initiates in a country, that particular country should take care of all the environment related activities or concerns, and then they will approve. And China tells that they are fully complying with individual countries' these mechanisms to protect their environment. And then number 2 is China's green BRI policies are in line with SDG 2030. So China says that our BRI project is totally in line with the 2030 SDG goals, and they also came up with the idea of ecological civilization, and President Xi Jinping has been frequently using the term ecological civilization to make China more beautiful, more environment friendly, to make industrialization in a more environment friendly manner. And also, since the signing of Paris Agreement, China has been trying to shift their policies towards greater environmental sustainability, but all these things within China, not outside China. Thirdly, green development practices by China and BRI participating countries, because China has a lot of opportunities to offer investments to other countries for renewable energies. So here I think they are presenting the idea that we have this technology, we can share this technology with these countries, and through these we can promote green BRI. And lastly, there are a number of bilateral investment treaties and multilateral environmental agreements through which China says that we are trying to ensure a green BRI through this. So this is the idea of China by which they are saying that BRI is going to be a green idea, BRI is going to be a green BRI. But there are a lot of challenges because we see the poor functioning within the developing countries. For example, if you consider my country, Bangladesh or Pakistan, we have a very inefficient environment impact assessment authority, and who do not have any skill, who do not have any quality. So due to this reason, we cannot actually, we have lots of rules, regulations, environmental rules and regulations, but we don't have the authority to monitor and to practice those rules and regulations. And also then environmental governance in different countries. And lastly, I'd like to point to one particular point, that is the how the geopolitics is coming back in the international politics. Since the geopolitics is coming back now, every country, already the domain of Asia Pacific was a domain where geopolitics, the geopolitical rivalry was having a lot of tension within that region. And now with the rise of Russia-Ukraine war, I think the issue of geopolitics is again in front in a very vivid manner, and for that reason maybe the countries will just try to dominate and spread their spheres of influence rather than focusing on environmental issues. So that is also going to be a concern, whether China is going to prioritize the environmental issues or they are just going to maintain their geopolitical supremacy. So I think these could be few ways, if the proper environment is available within a country, by following these steps, a country can have a green BRI. For example, strictly implementing green BRI policies. The policies are vast, very generic, so they need very concrete policies. They need to have a very connected policies across the countries, because BRI is not a single country initiative. It affects a lot of countries and connects. So that's why they need to implement the BRI policies. And China can offer some incentives to different countries as well, to developing countries, that if you follow the environmental regulations, then we are going to provide you renewable energies, or we are going to provide you, I'll just take 2 minutes. Okay.
1 minute. Yeah.
So mobilizing all the available resources, that means information sharing, gatherings like these where we can produce research, and also maybe an arbitration where people can go, the investors and the host countries. If the investor is not following the regulations, environmental regulations, then maybe through arbitration they can go for a solution. Now, lastly, can you go to the slide? Okay. I'll go to the Bangladesh part, and here I have to be very pessimistic, because all these policy suggestions could be practiced within countries where all the environments are present. But if we consider about Bangladesh, Bangladesh is already a country which is facing a lot of pollution and a lot of challenges in terms of environment. And also, whenever we think about BRI, the first thing comes to our mind is what India is going to think about it, whether to engage with China or not. And we have a lot of requirements for money. We need infrastructural development. We cannot rely on our own own money for such development. And recently an economic crisis is also going on in Bangladesh, and that's why we need a lot of money. So whoever is going to provide us money, we are going to stick with that state. But here also we have to think about a lot of things like the geopolitical issues. So before environment, we need to think about geopolitical issues, like if we increase our cooperation with China, what is going to be our relation with India. So these things are there, and we already have a lot of climate refugees. We have Rohingya refugees who are coming from Myanmar. We are facing aggressions from Myanmar. So we have so many things, and mostly we are facing an economic crisis where where environmental issues will, I think, wait for a long time to be practiced in a very precise manner. But yes, we can suggest policies, but concrete, in a very concrete manner, I don't think still we have a lot of things going on within our country. I would just like to answer the question of Matthew Saran sir about shipbreaking industries in Bangladesh. So we still have the business as usual, although Bangladesh amended the policy regard to shipbreaking, and also we set a target that will reduce the environmental and human impact of shipbreaking activities by 2023 according to the Hong Kong Convention, because we signed that. But we actually didn't make much progress because it's creating employment and we need that. We are desperately in need of that. So yeah, this is, I think, for us or for developing countries, I think BRI is a kind of zero-sum game, where when we are talking about environmental deterioration, when we talk about environmental deterioration, we need to ignore that for a while, because we also need to think about our economic growth. So when economic growth happens, I think it could be termed as a inverted U-shape model, where during the first phase of economic development, you face an ecological deterioration, and later, after going a certain period of time, after having some economic solvency, you can later focus on the environmental issues. So this is the reality for Bangladesh. I'm sorry for taking extra time. Thank you, everyone.